Mr. Kant, thank you. Many of the questions I had for you, you've already answered because your vision, as you laid it out, is a very comprehensive one. It's about the vehicle side, it's about the mobility as a service, it's about manufacturing, and it's about scale. One of the things I do want to ask you about, because I know this is close to your heart, you would be happy to know that just a few months ago, CEW's mobility team actually worked with the city of Kochi, your Kada state of Kerala, to design a program of converting 5,000 autos into e-autos by 2025 itself, and a framework for 32,000 autos converted over time. One of the things you pushed a lot during your time at Niti Aayog was competition between states towards this low carbon transition. And what our policy document comes out with is states that do have a stronger EV policy are showing 2x more growth. States that are providing higher kilowatt hour incentives for the cost of electricity are having 4x growth. How, how would you recommend that states take this story forward in a sort of competitive but upwardly competitive spirit?
So one is we had pushed the states into having their EV policy. So 21 states have come out with. And every state wants to clean up its act. I think it's very important that Niti Aayog and CEW work with the states. Some of them require some intellectual bandwidth to be able to push this. They need to make the cities compete with each other. So actually, Cochin should be competing with Trivandrum. Trivandrum should be competing with Calicut. If you get the three major cities competing on just this green transition of two-wheelers, three-wheelers, Kerala will become a unique example of electric mobility. But two-wheelers, three-wheelers will require a lot of fast chargers. So the state needs to put in that to use its policy framework to push in that. But Kerala is a unique example which can become the leading state for green transition. And that is what we need to pick up 2 or 3 states which will then become the champion states as far as green mobility is concerned. And then all other states will try and emulate them. And put out the ranking of these districts in public domain, put out name and shame them. And
okay, that's part 2 of this report then.
Don't be soft on states.
So this is also why the dashboard is there, right? Because you can go state by state, RTO by RTO, regional transport office by regional transport office, how many states they're having. I have just one more question, which is that, you know, I remember in 2007, I was working abroad at that time, and I saw a Reva electric car parked in the cities, in the streets of London. And we were obviously managing to meet European standards and then managing to export. But our growth of EVs had not begun at that time. In that intervening decade, China became a massive driver of EVs, but also with heavy state subsidy and so forth. As we look at the G20 presidency and as we look at our engagements with other countries in the global south that don't have deep pockets, what is the main lesson that India has for other developing countries of how to transition to this advanced mobility future despite fiscal limitations and so forth?
So 2 things. One is that you can grow, you can attract value, you will attract capital only if you get into sustainable areas of growth. If you do not, if you remain behind, you will not be able to attract value and capital because there is a vast amount of private investment funds available. It's not that the world is short of funds. The world is flushed with funds, but they want to get into cleaner and greener areas of growth, all of them. And therefore, what I think an increasingly World Bank and IMF will do is to support this transition for private sector funding into these newer areas of growth, all the green taxonomy areas. And therefore, one is to get into this consciously, and secondly, do a agglomeration, as much as you can do, like India was able to bring down the price of LED bulbs by getting the demand aggregated. India is able to do that because it got the buses aggregated. Prices fell sharply. Similarly, if you're doing 50,000 buses You are able to make the bus prices fall. But it's not just about the prices. You can then be the center of, if you're doing 50,000 buses, you can then be the center of manufacturing here, and you can export to the rest of the world. Yeah. And that is what we need to do. But all developing countries, if they start doing this, imagine if there are 10 developing countries, their demand is aggregated and pushed into the market, then you are going to rewrite the story of the world. The third is, I think, is very important, that the nature of urbanization, the nature of urban city planning that we do is very important, that we design urban cities for mass bus rapid transport system. Don't design cities for cars. America did that because Ford and General Motors bought over the railway companies, destroyed them so that fossil fuel cars could sell. Now, your cities, if you are designed around buses, then you'll allow people to do two-wheelers, three-wheelers, you'll allow people to do cycle and walking, but you will not allow these other buses. Embed cycling, walking, and bus transportation and fast chargers in your city planning. I'm saying this because in the years to come, there'll be a lot of urbanization taking place in India.
I quoted from Mr. Kant's book at the outset. I think one of the chapters is called Looking Back to Look Forward. And exactly the point, we have to learn from our successes, but also learn from our mistakes in order to chart the course for the future. Mr. Kant, thank you so much for your time. We'll just take a minute to release the report officially, and then we'll let you get on with your day.
Thank you so much.